On today's episode of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, we are talking about the adjustments the Avs need to make, not just in goal, but throughout the whole lineup. And we'll also talk surprises of the first few games of the season, not just for the Avs, but the entire league. Let's start the show. Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealerships. This is the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. We got Eric, we got Rudo coming to you live on an Avalanche off day. Look, no one's going to sit here and tell you that the start of this season is good enough. Oh, sick. Who am I? I can't even read that. There we go. There's me.
There you go.
The Avs have to do better. And I think certainly after this last game, every facet of their game has to be better.
Yeah, and if you go back to two pressers from Jared Bednar, remember we praised him for the way he came out and really calmed the waters down, right? It was very positive, and I don't think he was lying to the media or lying to his team. He was being honest about looking at the numbers. It really wasn't that gloom. It was decent. And again, it was a case of the bad goaltending. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. It was bad goaltending. Kind of came out and said it without saying it and was very calm. Now you have a game like yesterday. Again, it's another not a home opener, but it's your game at home after your home opener. And then you didn't really like the outcome, even though you didn't think it was that bad. But listen, was it the best game they've ever played? No. So you want to find a little bit of a... What's that?
I thought it was pretty bad.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? Like, but it could have been a lot better. Yes, I didn't like. Remember,
Sure.
I said I didn't like the intensity. I didn't like the jam. I didn't like, when we purely looking at numbers. Like, remember, it wasn't that bad. And I buy that.
Yep.
And I think his demeanor was fine. Now, if you're looking at yesterday, different demeanor, right? Because I take Rudo's words, and it's like 3's a streak, and it is. It is. Now you're streaking. And he's streaking the wrong way, which you never want to have a bad streak of losses. You certainly don't want to have them game 1, 2, and 3. You know what I mean, of the season. It's just not a fun way to start a season. It just stinks. It just everything is just kind of makes you, all of a sudden, it's human nature. You get nervous. You squeezing the stick. So you're gonna get a little bit of that tomorrow. So. Now, all of a sudden, his demeanor after the game wasn't very good. It was more like, okay, I am PO'd now, as he should. And I thought it was not very good now. Now I'm going to say, screw the numbers out the window, but I didn't like their effort again. I didn't like their thought process. I didn't like their decision-making. I didn't like anything. So now you had game 4 tomorrow, third game of a 4-game homestand. If we go back to the 5-game segments we talk about all the time. Now you're down 0-3. You've lost that first game segment. You just don't want to make it disastrous. And that's where you're at.
Look, I look at it less of the 5-game segment and more as you have 2 games left on this homestand. You have to win them both to go 500.
On the state.
And 500 isn't great at home, but it's salvageable.
It's a start.
So
yeah, I know. I'm with you.
You got to figure it out pretty quick here, but that's what I want to get into. It's easy for us to sit here and say they were bad. Here's all the things they did poorly. But how do you actually get better? How do you fix some of these issues? And I want to get into it position by position here a little bit and see what adjustments the Avs can actually make. I want to start with goalie just because that's the one that's been talked about the most.
Yeah.
Look, Georgiev has started all 3 games. I don't think he was their worst problem in game 3, but he certainly was in game 1 and 2. Annunen, we've talked about, has not earned it, but it has not been as bad statistically as Georgiev so far this season in coming in relief twice.
Yeah.
And then you have Kakkonen, which you're still waiting on waivers for. So I guess my question is, you wake up tomorrow, who's the starter?
Here's my answer. If immigration worked, which we haven't heard, we haven't seen, right? I mean, they have a day off today, so it's not like unless we go sit in the office and see if the immigration paper came in.
We won't know.
Or if we go to DIA and look for
See if
Kakinen
he
with his
rolls
goalie
into town.
and roll in. You have anything to do tonight? We could do that, you and I. But so the way I look at it is, and I get it. What's he been doing over there in Winnipeg? Wait, I don't know. I do not know. So we'll see. Now, do I throw him in there? Absolutely. Because here's my take on it. I do believe you. The quicker, the better the competition is. The quicker, the better they're gonna fix the goaltending issue in a sense. Maybe for a short term. But the way I look at this season, and I tell you all the time, and I think a lot of people are saying it too, is let's bring it to game 20, and then we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And I think in order to get to game 20, goaltending needs to be 1,000% better than it's been in those 3 games. Like you said, I'm going to start with Eustace. I'm mad at Eustace. I pushed for him. I am mad at him. He had 2 opportunities, and I know people are going to say, yeah, but he didn't start. You come in cold. I get that, but that's life. The 2 times he came in, he wasn't good. He did not make a save. That doesn't mean you were weak. He just didn't make a save. A couple of them were weak. A couple of them were tough crap, but that's life.
Yep.
Now, if you're Bednar, you don't have the confidence to put him in because it's like, hey, buddy, it's your job to come in and, maybe you could have run with it. Who knows where would it be? Now, as far as Georgiev is concerned, I thought his first 2 games were atrocious. I mean, it was atrocious. It was bad goaltending. Now his 3rd game, it's okay, but it's not going to bring the Avalanche to the promised land of the 20 games. It's just not good enough.
Well,
it's not good enough. So now, for me, the Kakinen, whatever you want to call that, immigration, then throw him in. Throw him in. Get him some shots at morning skate tomorrow, and let's see what he's got.
Let me ask you a more direct question.
Sure.
Throwing Kakinen in the immediate, fine.
Yeah.
Is the starter job actually up for grabs?
Well, in my book, and I know Jared, came out and said he's our guy. I get that. I mean, I would have said the same thing. Now, do you truly believe it? I don't know. I mean, but I think you have to say what he said, and I think that's why he's a good coach. He said the right things. Now, I do believe, here's what I believe. I don't care what your name is. I don't care where you come from. I don't care how long you've been here. I don't care how many wins you got last year. I don't care if you're a rookie last year in Eustis and you only have 20 career games. Like, win and you're in. That's the way I look at it. I think that you win, you stay in, and you'll see. All of a sudden, you're going to go get a guy that gets hot. Did you find lightning in a bottle in Kakinen? I don't know. You don't know. We don't know.
Of course, nobody knows.
Who knows? And Eustace, to his fairness, okay, he hasn't gotten a start, but he hasn't really earned the start the 2 times that he went in. I can see Jared Bednar's point there and the coaching staff and the management. So, yeah, I think they've played their cards right. I just don't think it's been good enough. That's not on the coaches or the manager. I just don't think that the goalies have performed up to this day well enough to put the Avalanche in a position where they need to be after 20 games. So that's why I would have done the same thing and looked on the waiver wire, which it did. And who knows? Put the guy in, see what happens.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it.
Feel like that's a cop-out answer on whether the starter job's up for grabs or not.
Oh, no, it is. No, 100%.
Okay.
No, it's not a cop-out. It is up for grabs.
Okay.
That's what
All
sorry. If I went to Pueblo on my way downtown, maybe. Maybe. But no, my answer is yes, absolutely. As it should. It hasn't been good enough.
A question from Mr. Purple in the Toyota chat here says, don't feel like Kakinen is a starter, and do you really just throw him in? I actually agree. I don't think Kakinen's a long-term starter. If you look at his career statistically, in short stints, he can be quite good, but any season he's played over 20 games, it falls off a cliff pretty darn quickly. With that being said, given what the Avs have gotten through 3 games, I'm willing to try anything.
I'm going on 4 or 5 years ago when I didn't find him. You spend, like I told you guys, and then you see, who is this guy? And then you're following him. You're like, oh my God, I don't know where, his uncle, his parents, I have no idea, his childhood. I saw what I saw in the American League, and I liked him. You know what I mean? Then I followed him. Now, I do believe in San Jose, no offense. And I got an argument with one of the assistant coaches from San Jose from those years, a couple years ago, and I'm like, you guys stunk. You know what I mean? Like, so any goalie would stink. And Kakinen did stink. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to wait for that. But I see potential. That is just me on the scouting world the last few years. I see why the Avalanche would pick him up. Absolutely. He's 28 years old, too. And, yeah, It's never really panned out as a starter. We kind of got lost, and sometimes it just takes an opportunity like this. And I'll say it again. This is a golden opportunity because they need goaltending, where before they really, they just needed okay goaltending. Right now, the situation they're in, the Avalanche, they need good goaltending.
Do they?
I do. I do believe so.
Just okay goaltending in 2 of these 3 games, they probably win.
But that's my point. But right now, they're not getting okay goaltending.
That's
they're
true. That's true.
Below that. So it's an opportunity, a golden opportunity for someone like Kakkonen to jump on. It is. It is.
Yeah, and like the chat is talking about, look, I think Eric and I, AJ, a lot of us would love to see Eustace get an opportunity to start some
100%.
games and potentially earn that job. But at this point, it feels pretty clear that the Avs don't feel the same way. It's been 3 years in a row now where they continue to put a roadblock in front of that guy.
That's where I'm getting my answer. And again, what did I say? The first sentence to you when I looked at you and you laughed. I said, I'm mad at Eustace.
I know.
I am mad because go back to the pods. I've been pushing for this guy. I was pushing for this guy in the playoffs last year. I just feel that he gave them, right, make them make decisions. I do believe he made them make decisions after those 2. Well, actually, they did the waiver claim after the first one. But I just feel his camp and then his first game, like they're like, oh, we got to do something. And then, obviously, because Kakkonen was claimed after the first game.
Yeah.
After the first game. And then the second game, it happened again. I just feel that now you're gun shy a little bit if you're coaching staff to put him in. And it's life. Your opportunities, sometimes you got to grasp it. You got to jump on it. I feel that it was a missed opportunity by Eustace. But, yes, as you know, I am a fan of Eustace and try to see what he's got. I'm still not sure.
Keaton in the Toyota chat asking, is Georgiev making technical mistakes? I've never played hockey or goalie. Help a casual fan out. I will be the first to admit I am not a goalie guy. If you're asking for technical stuff, Eric is probably better at that. But I will say, when you're watching a goalie like Georgiev fail to seal his posts, which has been the result of at least 3 of the goals against him, that's a pretty basic routine thing for goalies to do that, 1 in 98 will go in. Occasionally you'll see a goal go in where the goalie gets caught off of his post. But with it happening as frequently as it is to Georgiev, he's got some technical issues in his game right now.
And what I can add to that is, again, I'm not a goalie, but you're right. I just, because of my son over the years, I kind of educated myself a little bit more, right? I shouldn't say that. I paid attention a little bit more, right? And then if you look at his game, coach said it right after the first game or second, I don't remember. And he said it. He said with Georgie, it's not physical. It's mental, right? He needs a mental reset. He's done that before. Yeah. I think he said the right words. If you look at him, you go to Family Sports in the morning, he's a hard worker. He puts in the time. You talk to his former goalie coach. You talk to the current goalie coach. You got the players, staff. They'll tell you he's a hard worker. He's not a lazy guy. They're not lazy mistakes. But then again, if you look, like you said, that first goal, whatever it is, what it does is mental right now. He's in his own head. And therefore, his technicalities, if you want to call that, like they're not on point. You know what I mean? So he's a little loose because he's kind of like half-assed. Not that he's lazy. It's just he's into his own head. And then it's like, and then the puck goes in, and then you're like, oh, God. Forget about the guys on the bench saying, oh, here we go again. But you as a goalie, as an athlete, you're like, here I go again, right? Here I go again. And then what does that do? The game's 1-1. If you go back to that second goal, I think it's a very poor decision by him, to go after. I think you got to look at the situation. Manson is right on top of the guy back checking, right? Which all of a sudden,
really, but sure.
But he's going to push him right. Just the way they're coming. Only place he can really go is right. I'm talking about on the screen.
Sure.
That, you know what I mean? So come out strong, stay big, and then follow because that's where he's going. I think it's a better decision than try to charge it, and then obviously we saw the result. It doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. And I don't want to hear like, oh yeah, but it's bad luck. It hit, and then it went back. Well, no, I know. When you're in one, those things happen. So you play the percentages, you stay in your net, and you play to make the save. That's what I look at. Again, I'm not a goalie, but his technique is fine. he just gets a little bit agitated, especially from shots from the point. From my point of view, that's why he's always like looking on one side. Then it's like that's why he never really makes big saves or saves when pucks are tipped, where other goalies do. They just stay there. He's a little bit hungry on either side. So that's just me. Again, what do I know? I had seasons of 2 goals in this league, so I'm not very the goal scorer to be able to nitpick a goalie apart. So I'm just being honest. I'm gonna sneeze. Pardon me. My apologies. But it's again, I think it's more in his own head, and I think that it's happened to him before, and he's gotten out of it. And we'll see.
Well, don't be sneezing like Eric. And don't be struggling with your mental health like Georgiev. Instead, make sure you're getting with the new UC Health Ready, Set, Co program. It's led by Coach Prime himself, who wants to motivate Colorado to be the best they can be. The whole goal of the Ready, Set, Co program with UC Health is to get Colorado back to the healthiest state in the country. Whether that's physical health, mental health, sleep health, you name it. They've got you covered when it comes to UC Health. They just want to help you out. Like I said, they want to make you the best version of yourself with Coach Prime motivating you along the way. So make sure you go get in on the UC Health Ready, Set, Co program today. You can click the link down in the description, or you can head on over to uchealth.org/readysetco to join. Once you decide to take better care of yourself, make sure you're also getting to where you're going in style. You gotta live comfortably to take care of yourself, and you can do that with a new Toyota from your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota has a vehicle for everyone, whether it's a truck like the Tundra, an SUV like the 4Runner, or a sedan like the Corolla. Whatever fits your lifestyle, they've got you covered. And they have 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles as well as 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, which is the most of anyone in class. So if you want to be eco-friendly, they've got you covered there. Whatever vehicle you're looking for, you can get the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche and DNVR with Toyota at your local dealers, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corbin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. I want to get into the defense here, and we have to have a couple of conversations here. Number one, when you talk about adjustments like this, I don't think you have a whole lot to say to Cale Makar, who played terribly last game, no doubt about it. But you kind of just go, hey, Cale, play better. And he will.
He will.
You don't have to overthink that one too much when you're talking about your superstar player like that. So that one's pretty straightforward. The second thing to talk about there is injuries are out of your control, right?
Yeah.
You have to just make it work with Devon Taves out potentially for another game. It sounds like he might play, but we don't know. If Devon Taves is out, that makes your defense significantly worse. I think there's no argument with that. But you have to figure out what you're doing to shelter those holes in your lineup, maybe. And when you look at what the Avs defense has done over the last handful of games, one, you need more consistency out of Josh Manson defensively.
Yep.
Two, you need to figure out what you're doing with your lineup, because you threw in Oliver Shillington. He was not any good last game. Do you go back to Calvin DeHaan? Do you also run John Ludwig? Are you starting to get a little bit too big and lumbery at that point? What do you think the Avs need to do with their defense?
Well, again, on Monday morning quarterback it a little bit here. So you go yesterday and you got Devon Taves, that arguably, a top 10 D in the league, top 15 D in the league, correct? I mean, he is as stable as he can be, right? Now, last second, he's injured. He's not in your lineup. So what do you need? Well, you need a big game from number 8 if that's going to happen. Now, that didn't happen. You just touched on it. So therefore, here's the Taves' absence even bigger now because Cale's having a bad night, right? So that makes it a little bit of a big hole compared to Cale on a good night and Taves in the lineup. So right now you took both of them out. So right away, Monday morning quarterbacking, knowing that you took out give and take 400 games with Devon Taves, I would have just put one new guy in the lineup, not two. That's just, again, that's me. I would have liked DeHaan's experience in there, knowing that you're losing a few hundred games and, Devon Taves. That's just the way I look at it. Sometimes I overlook things, but and then just kind of insert one of the two, whether it's Ludwig or Shillington, in the lineup. Instead, you inserted two of them, and you and I talked about this. They're all going to play. They were all going to play. You don't want. I'm not judging that. Everybody should play. They're all good Ds. They saw something in Ludwig, hence the move to from Gustafsson. Whether you like it or not. Like, I know you're not a fan of that move, but somewhere.
Brandstrom, first of all.
What did I say?
Gustafsson.
My lord. Swedish. They're all the same.
We're making mistakes too. Out here.
My fault. Not a lot of sleep. I'm not used to that. Gustafsson. Brandstrom, not Gustafsson. And anyway, so therefore, I would have kept it simple. Try to insert, let's say, one of the two next game, or because we all know that everybody needs to get in. Everybody needs to get in the flow. Everybody needs to get into the game. Now, again, they had lost 2 games in a row. Hey, name me a better opportunity than change the lineup when you've lost 2 games in a row. It's perfect timing. Now, all of a sudden, you win. You're like, oh, my God, why are you changing the lineup? You won, right? Again, I don't think Bednar's really or Prater are really stubborn that way when it comes down to lineup decisions. But I just feel that first 2 games were more than fine. I like the number of chances that was very low that they gave up. Obviously, last game, there was some flagrant ones, and Cale was the victim of a few of them that were really costly. And they were really brain farts. They were. I mean, it's rare Cale has those moments. He did. He had a few of them. He was the first one to admit it. Everybody's human, right? Even the best player on the planet, Cale Makar, he's human. So I do believe that tomorrow, if Taze is not there, I do believe you go back to a DeHaan, and if you like Ludwig better, then keep Ludwig. But we all know that DeHaan can play the right side. Yep. We all know that Shilly can play the right side as lefties. I thought Sam was a little more quiet, I felt, than,
I mean, look, I want to talk about this specifically because when you look at stylistically, I think you look at DeHaan and Ludwig as kind of Ludwig, that is playing the same role for you, essentially. Yes. I think DeHaan probably the better at the actual defensive side of it. Ludwig had some pretty nice plays the other night.
Yeah, I didn't
also
mind
had some puck bobbles that I didn't love.
Yeah.
And then you have Malinsky and Shillington that kind of fill the same role as, I don't know if I want to call it an offensive defenseman, but a better skating defenseman of that style. And I don't think Malinsky's been that good. He's one of the Avs' worst possession defensemen. He hasn't really been that impactful when it comes to the offensive side of the puck.
Yeah.
But he's significantly played better than what Shillington gave you last night. So
I agree with you, and I think with Sam is more like I really like this preseason. And I think he's been going like this a little bit. Now, sometimes that's called tough love, right? Yep. As a decor, Coach Pratt, Coach Bednar, maybe they decide that, hey, we need him. He can be better because he's been better.
Yeah.
Look no further than this past 2 weeks. Now, all of a sudden, do we just give him a little whack on the hand and say, you're out? And then, now I wouldn't do that.
I mean, the last
time
he got whacked, it was from Georgiev. So
that's a different story. We can go there if you want. I got no problem. My opinion changed of a player right there. But anyway, just to go back, I'm just kidding, but to go back to, I do believe Sam should stay in there. I do believe, you're right. I thought Shillington had a tough day. I thought he was a little hesitant. I thought he was a little bit timid, right? Yep. Be humble, but not timid. Yep. I really thought he was timid. So I didn't like his game.
Yep.
So somehow, if Taze is out tomorrow, I would say keep Ludwig in because I like the firmness that Ludwig brings you. Okay. I agree with you. Is it
against the Boston team too?
Hey, listen, it's a heavy team. Boston's a heavy team. They come at you. They got some pain in the butts. And by the way, on the back end, McAvoy is. What is he, 6'1", 6'2", 225? He's the smallest guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, you're going to say on D. Yeah, it's all Big Z and Low Right and all those guys, but they still have some jam up front. They do, that Costellic, guys like that. I do keep Ludwig. I like the firmness yesterday. I like the engagement in front of them, the battles of guys without the puck. He was really protecting the net well, I thought. Again, not being familiar with him. Listen, if Taze is out, I keep Ludwig in. in. If Taze is in, I get Ludwig out.
Yeah,
but I keep
I
Sam
agree.
in, and I go back to the first 2 games.
I agree.
That's me.
I'm the same with you on that one. It's interesting to me when you have some of these fluctuating pieces, some of these new pieces. How much do you try to adapt your systems to your players, and how much of this is just waiting for your players to get used to your systems?
Great question. It is, right? I mean,
It's tough. I know.
Yeah, but it's,
That's my point. Is the Avs are in a tough spot right now.
and that's again. Your question is very, very relatable to the forwards as well.
Yeah, we'll
Cal
get
Ritchie,
there. We'll
right? I'm
get
just
there,
saying.
yeah.
I won't mix in.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's the same thing. So now you're like, okay, we have AD. Great. It's a choice we made, but we're learning on the fly. We didn't like what we saw a little bit with not Gustafsson, but Brandstrom. And then you're like, oh, okay, let's make a stylistic change, right?
Yep.
Because this guy becomes available. And who knows, maybe they've been after this guy for a while
Yeah,
now.
right.
Ludwig. All right,
Could
great,
be.
we like him. And I do like him. I like a guy that's firm. And again, you reminded me a little bit of Jack Johnson in his heyday. I with all the respect to Jack, and I'm Jack in his earlier career, like heavy,
Yep.
firm, big lefty, same number.
Yep.
Just looked like him. You know what I mean? It did. And again,
Similar.
Jack Johnson played, a gazillion games, so it's not a bad thing to call it's not a negative thing to call Ludwig that. I think it's
Jack
more,
Johnson was a good defenseman for a lot of his career.
that's my point. Like he's played over, 1,200 games, whatever it is.
a lot,
So
yeah.
you must be pretty good. So my point is again, you're learning on the fly. Now you lose a soldier, you're down to 7. Therefore, more soldiers are playing than I've never played.
Yeah.
Think about it yesterday. You had 2 guys that never played a game for an Avalanche team on D. Ludwig and Shillington.
True.
Without one of your top guys. So right away, like I said, the mixture is like, oh, God, I don't like the mixture. So, again, you're learning on the fly. It's a little mixture of everything. So I think you go back to what you had the first 2 games, and I think you just try to run with it a little bit. Everybody get their feet wet. Mountain practice, it can work on different things, video, and then all of a sudden be ready for the next time you're called upon.
You've touched on this before, but the Avs, I think, probably as a team, not just their goaltenders, need a little bit of a mental reset, right? When you watch that goal go in, it doesn't just affect Georgiev's mental. Your whole defense is going, this again?
It does. It's human nature. Here we go again, is that line. You don't have to say it on the bench. You can
But
just
you feel
think
it.
it, and you
Yeah.
feel it. Because you feel it. You feel it with the shift after a goal. Then you're like, oh, it's just ugly and down. You just feel it where you're like, you look at each other, and first of all, you're pulling for each other too. You don't want any harm or someone to play
No,
bad.
of course.
But you're looking at each other and go, whoa, this is bad. Again, we're not harping on things right now. It's a fact. It's 3 games right now. What is it? 20 goals. It's never happened in the history of this franchise.
Nope.
So it's not like it's made up. It's just been that bad. So when you're sitting there, I think as a coach, it's the toughest thing because the camera's on me right now. You know what I mean? So you just look. You can make stone face, but in your mind, you're just like, where players are in the heat of the moment. They are at exhaustion, right? Their heart rate's up, and then they're going in, and it's hard to hide your emotions. You can, if you want to, you can look back and press pause. You'll see guys' faces on a bench, and it's so different than a coach. You know what I mean? Because it's like they'll bend their head down and then just throw a couple F-bombs, right? Then you can tell that's what they're doing, and it's like, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? And it's like, so it's a little different.
Yep.
But it is human nature. I think it's the hardest thing to do as a coach is exactly that, control your emotions behind a bench when bad plays are happening or a bad goal or, but I do believe that it is human nature. And that's what makes it. If it was easy, everybody would go 82-0 every year. We
True.
wouldn't have sports.
It's
It would
true.
just be easy. It's like, hey. And again, there's that saying all the time, right? What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? Nothing. Because why bother? You know it's not going to fail. You're going to succeed. So everybody would do everything. So it's not that way.
Ivan got sent down as a paper transaction. It's just for cap reasons. He'll be back. Don't worry about that.
And they sent down even Kovalenko like a couple hours ago, even though they didn't.
Yeah, it was a little weird that they didn't do it with Wagner, but
that's not. It was Wagner. It was Wagner and Ivan, and then an hour ago it was like Kovalenko.
Yeah,
I don't know. Again, those are all
just cap related. It's not actually.
You need
a real
intelligent
thing.
people, and I'm certainly not.
Don't worry about it. Is what I'm saying.
No. Who else are you going to play tomorrow?
Just to kind of reinforce the point, or the reason why I'm not panicking yet is, who cares about a perfect regular season?
Yeah, you're right.
Look at all of the teams that have gone on to have the best regular seasons in recent history. They all end up losing in the playoffs. So I'm not worried about the lack of perfection. Now, if the Avs continue to lose and things start to spiral out of control, yeah, that's really bad. Then you have a problem. I just don't think we're quite there yet. But they have to figure it out in the immediate to not end up going down that path.
I'll let you go in and I'll tell you my thought on that.
Well, we are brought to you by Premier Members Credit Union. Make sure you're taking care of your money and not doing crazy things like the Avs are doing right now. You can do better than that when it comes to your money. They're a credit union, not a bank, so they put you first, and they are part of the community here in Colorado. All they want to do is make you more money. You can check out the Premier Members Credit Union Reverse Tier Money Market. It's a game changer for your finances and your life, so why not see what they can do for you? Check them out at becomepremier.com or the link in our description to learn more. And once you're taking care of your money with Premier Members Credit Union, you also might want to save up and get yourself some new floors with Empire Today. You can jump on with Empire Today. Go to empiretoday.com/DNVR to get $350 off any new floors. They've got you fully covered, whether it's wood, whether it's carpet, whether it's tile, whatever it might be. Empire Today does it, and they only carry the best products, so you don't have to sit through a bunch of junk to figure out what you want. Tons of ways to get it done with Empire Today. You can go online and do the projector thing to get the floors projected into your room by measuring it out to see what it looks like. Of course, you can get a free in-home estimate. You can also make sure you get their professional install done, whatever it might be. Jump on with Empire Today. Schedule that free in-home estimate. Get that $350 off with the code DNVR. And go check out Empire Today at empiretoday.com/DNVR or call 1-800-588-2300-EMPIRE.
Today.
Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast and getting into the forward core.
But before that, remember I said,
yeah.
You get all caught up with Empire because they fixed your house. I get it. You want to just like, hey, Empire, I love you. I get it.
The carpet's nice. What can
exactly.
I say?
What I'm trying to say, when you were talking about that, it just kind of hit me a little bit. You were saying, who cares about, which I'm with you, regular season. We want to be in the playoffs.
I care about the regular season. I just don't care about a perfect-looking regular season.
That's my point. I know what you're saying. My point is, I feel it's different a little bit with management this year, where they feel, because of the handcuffs that were put on them, they feel that the first 20 games is crucial. And I tend to agree, because it makes me worry a little bit, because sometimes the hill can be a little bit slippery, you know what I mean, when it comes down to this league. And I'm like, that's why I don't like those first 3 games. And it just makes me worry, where usually I'm not worried. But we all know the circumstances are different this year because of the 2 main situations that they've been put in, not by their fault, but by an injury and then the program situation. So it's nothing they could have done differently. But I feel that they feel that their leash is a bit shorter, not on firing people, on being able to stay in that race and not really feel the heat of the regular season, where before it's always like, oh, kind of like back then. Avalanche, oh, we'll make it. We'll be there. This year I feel it's like, boy, we better get there. You know what I mean? Like, before we can talk about the playoffs. So that's kind of what I was saying. I feel it's a little different this year, even though I'm with you. I really couldn't give a rat's butt about regular season. What matters is, a wise man always told me, we're in this business to see who wins the last game. And that's it. And that's it. Who cares about the rest? So that's kind of why I look at it this way. That's it. Just a hunch,
Yeah, I agree. Do want to talk about the forwards. Look, the Avs forward situation is particularly complicated. We don't need to rehash the Nichushkin and Landeskog situations again. That'll be a conversation for November.
We'll wait till we get to November.
But the conversation continues to get more complicated with Arturi Lekkonen's injury maybe lasting a little bit longer than the Avs were hoping to start this year. And now you're dealing with a Jonathan Drouin injury as well. So the reality is the Avs really only have 3 bona fide top 6 forwards in McKinnon, Mikko, and Casey Middlestat.
Yep.
Now, I will say Middlestat has done a pretty darn good job so far this year. He's got 3 goals in 3 games.
Yep.
He's filled in well for them.
I agree.
You're getting by with a guy like Colton in your top 6. That's okay.
Yep.
And then you're kind of scrambling for the other 2 spots. Just kind of the reality of the Avs situation. What can they do to try and get a little bit more production out of some of their depth guys?
What can they do? I think, is it a question of, we talked about it on the defensive side with the defense. Take Cal Ritchie, for example, right? You got to learn on the fly. You are very good at analyzing. You'd be a great freaking assistant coach. I don't know about a head coach because I don't think you're mean enough to be a head coach, but that's a compliment.
I'll take your word for it.
I wouldn't be a good head coach either because I'd be like, yes. Day off? You want a day off? It is. You guys want a
I have no doubt I would never be a
You and me
coach.
are a little bit, we're too nice, right?
At best, I'm a scout, and even
no,
that
I think
I'm
you're
not
a
any
good
good
assistant
at,
coach
so.
because
I don't know about
no, I'm
that.
being honest here. This is not being stupid here. Like, I think our personalities, we wouldn't be a good head coach, but I think you'd be a good assistant coach for the reasons of what I'm going to say and what you're working on right now with, for example, Cal Ritchie's game.
Yeah.
It's very important to be able to break down a guy's game. And we were talking about it with the defense there 2 minutes ago. That's what makes it tough for Cal Ritchie if you are Jared Bednar. Because Jared Bednar, you're the head coach of the Colorado Avalanche that are aspiring to win the Stanley Cup. Totally different way of coaching than, I don't know, Luke Richardson in Chicago. You know what I mean? Like or even San Jose or with Macklin and Will Smith. You'll be able to live with some mistakes for them to learn on the fly where it's tough here because every point matters. And I'm not blaming Cal Ritchie. He showed a lot of flashes yesterday. We know that. Congrats again on his first NHL goal. That is awesome. A moment you'll remember the rest of your life. But when you nitpick his game as a coach because you're trying to win, as far as I'm concerned, the Avs are 1-3 right now. I'm not saying it's Cal Ritchie's fault. I'm saying that somewhere, somehow, it's not working.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and we all know that, again, I got to be careful what I'm going to say here because I don't want to put the kid down. I'm not. But it's almost by default, right? Because there's no other option that there's stylistic players. Like, he's so far ahead of everybody else in this organization.
If Val Nichushkin and everybody else were healthy, he wouldn't have made the team.
That's kind of what I'm saying. That's
the
what
reality
I'm saying.
of it. Yeah.
I love the kid. He's going to play in the NHL 20 years. Okay, there, I said it. So, and I know you like him too. You know what I mean? That is not what. And I think
I like what he's going to be. I don't know that I like what he is.
That's
in
my
the
point.
NHL. Yeah.
We all agree he's going to be a good player in the National Hockey League. Right now, today, I don't know. There's a lot to work with, right? There's a lot of meat on those chicken wings right now that you can, nitpick.
There's
right?
some improving to do.
Yes. So, and I'm not blaming him. I am not. That is not fair to blame a 19-year-old. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying, but it's not like everything's going on all cylinders. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a little rough. Now, has Nate in the top line been the greatest? No, but again, we haven't seen Joe Drouin. You know what I mean? And that's what it's supposed to be. And I'm not saying Joe Drouin makes McKinnon. I'm saying, no, all of a sudden you're having a little bit of a revolving door on the left side. When you're the best player in the world, you make people around you better. And that's what Nate McKinnon does. But it's also nice also to have a little bit of stability sometimes. But I know he's willing to try anything because of the situation they're in. We all know that. And we're not even said the word Lekkonen once yet, right? But it's like, and even with Lecky out, all of a sudden now it's a revolving door. But what are the options? In the Eagles, no offense to the Eagles, there's no make a trade, really? How do you want to make a trade? Like, with the situation they're in. So they have to figure out some combos. We talked about it a couple games ago, combos, please, right? And I just think that we haven't seen them yet, the combos. We saw Ross, like you said yesterday, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you have to figure out, is it going to be Cal Ritchie? Is he going to learn it fast enough on the fly to be there until game 20 or whatever, until everything gets like fixed again in a sense, like a little bit not flying blind. You'll have glasses on to see where you. Right now, it's a little bit of air goggles, like you know what I mean. Like you're like, oh boy, this is like all right, just and breathe a little bit, right? So, I think it's important. I think we'll see what's going to come of it. But guys will make decisions for the coaching staff on their own, like we saw cuts at the end of training camp.
Yeah, for sure.
It was that simple because they made the decisions on their own, and it was easy for the coaching staff. So now it's more like it's up to the coaches to figure out what your job is to coach, not what's not here, but what's here, and what makes the best 20 guys on the ice perform and get the results, and that's the coach's job.
Is there any consideration of switching any things up? Matt Steinberg has 2 points in 2 games down with the Eagles. You saw Jason Poland score a power play goal for them too. Any consideration there, or are you sticking with your guys so far to start this year?
Well, if I go now, again, the 2 names you used there obviously would be guys at the bottom of the lineup here, right?
Correct.
So,
bottom 6 guys.
So let's talk about that. Like, well, Ivan, I think, has been more than fine, right?
I agree. I want to talk about him in a little bit
Okay,
later,
perfect.
too,
What I'm saying is, as a line, you had the numbers out yesterday. I'm trying to remember. I don't think these guys got kicked in, right? You know what I mean? By any means. I think they've been more than fine. Parker Kelly, Ivan. Yep. Who else? Kivy. Again, I always say I give it to Kivy all the time. Like I do. I see why a coach, he's the Jack Johnson for Jared Bednar, that Jack Johnson was to Nolan Pratt, right? It's that veteran presence that will give you safety and that gives you experience. That's it. I mean,
look, if you're a team that's up 2 goals in the third period, Kivy's
that's a perfect guy.
The Avs haven't won a single period yet this year, so Kivy, hard for him to help a lot.
That's what I'm
now.
trying to say, and I'm not here to blame Kivy. You know what I mean? I'm here like I just want to be reincarnated as Kivy because it's like I don't think a lot's asked of you just to be safe and simple. Well, that's okay. I'm making it more like sound like worse than it is. It's a farce. It's a joke, but I don't think that calling up Steinberg, Poland is what I think. It's more on the top 6. Right? I haven't seen who's been meshing with Casey. We've seen Casey, like, all of a sudden do it himself or get a nice,
with the top
on
guys,
the power play, score, whatever. Get a shift with Mac at 5-on-5 and Nico, which I really liked. By the way, that was great. I just trying to see what's the combo there. You know what I mean? Where what you're getting out of Ross and Woody and it's truly
Colton's been a little bit hot and cold
and Woody I think has been
he's not a top 6
something.
Guy. He's not a top 6.
No, but I mean with their line with LOC, right? So when they're together, you can see it.
Sure.
Have they been better at times last year? Absolutely. I don't think this has been their best stretch by any imagination. I think he's obviously dealing with a little something. Like yesterday, he was.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to play because just by the way he was talking to the trainers all morning skate. So, again, not defending. He is what he is, too, again. So, I think, like you said, asking to bring somebody up at this time, I don't see it. You know what I mean? Do I like those guys down there? Yeah, as you know, we went down there last week, and I felt that, Steinberg, of all places, of all people, I think Bednar talked about him at the end of training camp. Like, hey, all of a sudden he's starting to get himself in the conversation, right? And he's he's alive. He's involved. It's not just fisticuffs. He's developing a good PK game. He seems to be a nice leader. So who knows, right? I mean, if you're asking me again, I'll say it. God, I don't want to say it, but yeah, sure. If you want to take Kivy out and put them in, I got no problem. You know what I mean? That's just that's just. And again, is that going to make you win the game? Probably not. But it's going to make you maybe have a different stylistic approach
sure.
on the thing. And again, Kivy, I love you, buddy. I don't know him, but he looks like a nice guy. I'm not bashing him. I'm just saying his style. No, nothing more to it.
All right. Well, if I were going to be a head coach, I think I would have my best ideas by sitting down in the coach's room, having a few Coors Lights, and enjoying myself with the beer made to chill. Bednar might need to chill a little bit. I'm sure he's sweating a little bit after these 3 games. So Go get yourself a Coors Light. You can get it delivered right to your front door with CoorsLight.com/DNVR thanks to Instacart. Or, of course, you can find it just about anywhere. The mountains turn blue on the bottle or the can, so it's the beer literally made to chill. It's starting to cool off, but you can still get some good barbecuing time in, I think, this time of year. Get some Coors Lights with your barbecue or whatever it is you might be doing. It's always a great time to crack a Coors Light when you're hanging out with friends, watching hockey, or otherwise. Again, go check them out at CoorsLight.com/DNVR and get it delivered right to your front door. Please drink responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And if you got some Coors Lights, you're probably going to need a cooler to put them in. That's where Rugged Road comes into play. Rugged Road is your go-to for any outdoor needs when it comes to their new amazing cooler. Their innovative, durable design, it even floats down the river. So if you're trying to hang out, go for a little lazy river snooze, you can just attach the cooler right to your inner tube and float down the river easily. It's also a lightweight design. It's not one of those heavy-duty coolers they got to drag around everywhere. It's easy to carry and take with you whatever you might be doing. And it's crafted to handle the toughest environments. Built to last and keep contents cool for up to 7 days, but often even longer than that. So go get with Rugged Road today. Get ready for your adventures at ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code DNVR to get 10% your order. Again, lightweight, durable, and always floating upright, perfect on land or in water. So leave that old heavy cooler at home and get yourself a better cooler with Rugged Road. Last period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, I want to get into some early season surprises through the first handful of games here, both for the Avs and the league. For Colorado, I think for a lot of people, a rough start isn't that big of a surprise. Even our own AJ Hafley was expecting the Avs to maybe start a little bit slow this season, given the holes in their lineup, given the uncertainty at goaltender that we already knew about in the preseason. With that being said, I think everyone's a little surprised that it's this bad.
Yeah.
But maybe not all that surprising. So I want to look at a positive surprise instead for Colorado. You mentioned him, Ivan. He was not a guy I expected to make the lineup. Even with a good camp, I was expecting him to be one of the last cuts on a potential call-up. Instead, he gets into the lineup through 3 games. He's looked very solid as a bottom 6 guy. Got his first NHL point in Game 2. Has had some other quality opportunities. Is this enough of a surprise for Ivan to potentially stick around longer term, or is he going to be another guy that gets cut when people get healthy?
You know what? I'm going to say, here's what I think about him. I love, again, not comparing him to Nate McKinnon. I love him as a 4th liner, right? And I'm going to leave it just as that. Like I used to talk about Logan O'Connor. I love him as a 4th liner. And I used to say this guy can play the next 12 years as a 4th liner, knows what he is. I'm going to say the same thing about Ivan. I think he knows what he is. I think he knows that if he's smart and he keeps going like what he's been doing since last year as an undrafted, unsigned, whatever it was, American League deal, NHL deal, NHL roster, now performing at a high level of what's asked in a very limited role. He's not a top 6 guy. It's not easy to play that way. But he is smart. He makes every presence on the ice felt. He is not a liability. He knows to play within his limits. He will make mistakes. He will learn. I believe this guy can play 10 to 12 years there in the National Hockey League. That's what I'm going to say. Now, if he scores you 12 one year, or he scores you 7 one year, bounces win his way, bounces the gun this way. But I think he can be a trusted player. I think he's already a trusted player from the coaching staff. So I do believe, like you said, it's a great surprise. I'm like you, that I felt he would be more like a call-up at some point this year. But I do believe that he has his place in the National Hockey League, and I actually get excited when he's on the ice. I'm being honest, like I do. I know that there's going to be a little bit of firmness, a little bit of jam. Something's going to happen, and again, how can you love that name? That name's pretty
True.
sick.
First ever player with same first and last name
Amazing.
in the NHL, by the way.
Amazing, but congrats to him. And I know he's not going to have a dip. I know he's going to actually keep going this way.
I hope so.
Yep.
One less hole to fill if Ivan can keep it up. We'll put it to you that way. So hopefully that's a surprise that continues for the Colorado Avalanche. Beyond the Avs, is this a surprise or not, Eric? Edmonton Oilers, also 0-3, just like the Avs. They went to the Cup final last year.
Yeah.
On the other hand, they started that season going like 0-9 or something ridiculous.
Whatever it was.
So, is it surprising that they're starting slow again, or is this just par for the course for the Edmonton Oilers?
Listen, I believe in the cup hangover. Again, you're going to say, are you dumb? They didn't win the cup. No, I get it.
They still played every single game they could.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, and it's probably worse because you get punched right in the mouth, right? When you lose Game 7. Are you kidding me? You're thinking about the families that are there, the party you're going to have, your cup day and everything. You just get like, take a shovel and just knock all my teeth out, right? You know what I mean? It just what it must, I don't know. Never happened to me, so I wouldn't know. I'm talking about the Game 7 part. The shovel, maybe. But I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You got weird friends. No, I'm kidding. I do believe that it's a little surprising. I agree with you. Did I expect a little bit of a slow 20 games? Yes. But what I'm going to say is I'm going to compare them a little bit to the Avs. I'll say it again. Gosh, I hate saying that. I just don't trust their goaltending. It's very similar to the way I feel about the Avs.
All right. Fair enough. I don't disagree with that take. I
hate saying it.
To be fair, they're 3 games in, and you've gotten zilch from Connor McDavid, which won't last.
No, exactly.
But, you know, they need a little bit more there.
They need more. They need more.
Undefeated teams in the NHL. There are 4. You have Dallas, Winnipeg, Vegas, and Calgary. Calgary, obviously, the one that stands out a little bit from the rest there, probably.
Yep.
Your old team.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you look at that, it's like, do I predict that's going to keep going? No. Do I think they think, as a management team, that they think it's going to keep going? Probably not. But I think the belief from within is you want to win every game, and you think you can win every game, and that's awesome. I think you're seeing that right now. Do I think it's sustainable? Probably not.
You know what? Tampa's undefeated too, but they've only played 1 game, so that doesn't count.
Jeez, where have they been? Oh, yeah, they're sorry. I'm sorry. Stupid comment. Obviously, the weather has not been very friendly to them, so my apologies. That's not what I meant. Because I'm like, this is so weird. They only have 1 game played. It doesn't make sense. I just feel that out of that group, do I think Vegas is going to sustain that? No. Dallas, again, they're a good team. I'm not arguing it, but I don't know. Again, it's such small samples.
Correct.
That's why I always say, talk to me after 20 games. Then even at 20 games, I'm like, okay, talk to me at 40. You know what I mean? Level playing field evens out. It just does. You have a better sample of where your team's at, where is it going, how much more it's got to give. So hopefully the Avalanche are one of those teams where, you know, it's more trending the other way and not the opposite, where all of a sudden they're good at the start and then they just drop.
Yep. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yep.
As much as I love digging into the numbers, and look, the numbers we have are the numbers we have. They're not meaningless, but they are a very small sample. Size. You can't take long-term meaningful conclusions from 3 games of statistics. You just can't. It's the reality of the numbers.
Yep.
I did want to look ahead to the Avs schedule. Obviously, Boston, pretty tough team coming in. But then you follow that up. Your last game of the homestand is Anaheim.
Yeah.
You go out on the road. You play San Jose and Seattle.
Yeah.
Utah, they're off to a hot start. I don't know how good of a team they are. You follow that up with a back-to-back of Ottawa and Chicago.
Yep.
So, yeah, the Avs have been off to a slow start. But looking at their next 7 games, they really should win at least 5 of them.
Yeah. If not all of them, right? But, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think the schedule, we've been saying it all summer, man. We're like, we love the way the schedule is. We love the way it lays out. We love the fact that they're going on the road this week. I think it's very important to get away from, not to get away from family. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's get away where you are all together without anybody else. And you can spend a lot of time at dinners on the road together. You can spend a lot of time on the bus, at practice. You're not rushing. You're not, you have nowhere to go. You're just all together. So I think it's very important. I think the schedule is favorable to the Avalanche because of that. So I love the fact that, again, I'm never going to say they're weaker opponents because it is the National Hockey League. But they are. Like you said, you can only play the game that's in front of you. So, yeah, I love the way the schedule lays out as far as Boston's concerned. That's tomorrow. Boston Bruins are always a tough opponent.
They are.
Jeremy Swayman hasn't been the greatest since he's been back, right? I mean, I think he put a lot of pressure on himself the way things panned out. But, he's had a couple games where he's been okay. Nobody likes to lose. They lost twice to the Panthers. They're full from last year in the playoffs. But they'll be coming on this road trip starting here with the Avalanche. And they know that the Avalanche are a little wounded dog right now. So, I mean, I wouldn't expect anything than a top game from the Bruins tomorrow night. And that should be a very entertaining one.
I mean, my point is this. If the Avs are serious about considering themselves contenders, they need to find ways to win, even if their lineup is a little bit chopped up right now, even if they're missing some guys. Their top players still need to be able to carry this team to wins. Yep. And if, looking at what I said, they should win 5 of their next 7 on paper.
Yep.
If they win 5 of their next 7, what is their record? It's 5-5.
Yep. Exactly. After 10... And again, I know the whispers is like, if they can be 500 after 20, well, that's that math right there.
Now, if they go on and lose 5 of their next 7 and they're 2-8 or something, then you're panicking for sure.
They're tough. They're tough hills to climb back out of. I mean, it's tough when you put yourself in a big hole. It's just mentally tough because you can go on 3-4 games, where you win, then you lose 1 or 2, and it's like you feel you're not moving. You're not moving in the standings, you know what I mean? You're just kind of like, you're like, oh, man. Even though you don't want to look at it because it's one game at a time and the cliche and everything. But in reality, you are underneath the pile. Yep. And that's tough.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to add to it than that. So if the Avs play the way they're capable of, in 10 games, we might be chilling.
For sure.
If the Avs continue to struggle, we might be running around with our hair on fire. I can't see the future. It could go either way.
I put it all together, right? From goaltending to special teams to defense to forwards to coaching, being sharp. And I think it's time to put it all together. You've had all summer. You had all summer to sleep and be away and not worry about wins and losses. And now all of a sudden it started and you're on the wrong side of it 3 games in a row. So it's not a good feeling. It's important to get back in the W column like tomorrow. Like, doesn't matter how you do it. Get back in the W column. Get away from those L's. Get out of that losing streak. I mean, again, you want a W, not an L.
Yep. All right, we do have one super chat to get to here from Melanie saying for $5. Sorry for the typo last night. It should have said I'm looking forward to them getting their mojo back. Take care. Thank you very much, Melanie. Yeah, look, I would round out this game with saying some of the same stuff I tweeted the other night. Yeah, there's no excuses. These 3 games have been very, very bad for Colorado. But if you expect it to continue to be this bad, that means you're expecting this to be the worst team ever in history. By they'd give up 100 more goals than the next worst team if they continue at this rate.
And like you said, it's like, it's not sustainable.
No, you can't try to be this bad. Yeah. It's impossible to be this bad. I'm not saying everything's going to be solved and everything's going to be fuzzy rainbows, but it won't remain this bad. So,
like you said, sustainably impossible. But it's amazing what you say it all the time. A superstar play. Yep. Out of the blue can lift the team up. Team appeared. Again, I'm going to go back to what you said yesterday after. They haven't won a period yet.
Correct.
So how about we start winning a period tomorrow? That'd be nice if you win period 1.
And that's all it takes. You talk about these guys getting stuck in these here we go again situations. You win 1 period and everyone goes, oh, okay, all right, this is what we do. Got it. Yeah. Good.
And that's how they feel. They got a good core group there. They're positive guys. But again, Kel McCarr can only be so positive after a poor outing like he had, and then he can go. I wasn't that bad. No, I mean he went for the jugular, his own jugular, and he's like, I stunk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was
that's
honest
okay.
about it.
I got no problem with that, even though he's still the man. He's still the best player in the world. But I makes you like him even more. when you have responses like you did yesterday.
All right, we are going to wrap up today's show. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us. Of course, game day tomorrow. Join us for the usual pregame, watch-along, post-game trifecta. Like and subscribe here on YouTube. We're really closing in on 100K subscribers, so we want that YouTube plaque. Help us out with that. We are out of here, and we will talk to you on the next one.
We all silly like the mayor.